Hello everybody, this is Jacob Lawler, First Team Real Estate, the California Association of Realtors June 2022 housing market update just came out yesterday. Wanted to go over the pertinent slides I found most valuable, as well as some information and insights that I gleaned from it, because some of the data is a little bit shocking, some of it is expected, well as to help put the content in context and to provide some perspective around what all of this means to you as a home buyer or home seller. First of all, the overall California market as a whole, the transactions in terms of year-over-year transactions, June 2022 versus June 2021 is actually down 20.9%, the number of transactions, not prices, but the number of transactions, as well as year to date, meaning January 1st through June 30th, 2022 versus 2021 is actually down nearly 11%. The prices are still up year over year, about 5.4%, but the deceleration is in full effect, where at the beginning of the year, we were up about 20+% year over year, where now here in June, we are up 5.4%. June 2022 versus June 2021. The unsold home inventory is at 2.5 months, which is still technically a slight seller's market. And the time on market, median days on market, is 11 days, which is up from last year. Now, in terms of Southern California, which is where we are here locally, is seeing a more significant difference than the entire state, because we are actually down 27% year over year and nearly 15% year to date of this year versus last year. Prices are still up 8.4%, but we were even up higher at the beginning of this year, and the rest of the data is pretty similar to the state as a whole. So let's talk about sales, the number of units sold. That we actually had the biggest drop in sales since the pandemic shutdown, where everybody stopped, the whole country shut down. We didn't know what the heck was going to be happening. This is the largest drop year over year since that shutdown. And here in Southern California, we actually had the largest drop across all of the regions of California, down 27.1%. So pending sales, this is about things to come, meaning from 30 to 60 days from now, we're actually going to see those numbers a bigger increase in terms of a drop in sales, because pendings, the number of new escrows, are actually down 40.6% compared to the same time last year. That is a dramatic difference. We were down 20.9% in terms of sales or closings. However, pendings, which will be in about a month or two from now, it's down 40.6%. So a huge difference, because that's, again, pending sales is a huge, big difference. As well, condos are actually showing to be more affected than single family homes. Condos are showing that they slowed slightly, not by much, but still more than single family homes. So the condo market is becoming more affected quicker than the single family market as well. The upper price points, as you can see, are the most affected thus far. If you could see right here, the 2 million and up range is actually down 18%, and that's month over month changes. So that's a big difference. So what's going to happen when the higher end is slowing down faster than the lower end? Obviously, price is going to come into factor, especially when we talk about median price, median meaning the middle. So if the higher end is getting affected more than the lower end, obviously median price will become impacted that way, where it actually shows that the overall California median price point dipped in May, or actually from May to June, 4% month over month change. So that is from May to June. That's not year over year, because still year over year we're up 5.4%. However, from May to June, which is a harbinger of things to come, it is down 4%. But something to keep in mind, because it does talk about dipping prices. If you notice, it is natural and frankly normal for housing prices to decline on a median scale on the second half of the year. If you look at all of the other years leading up to this, you notice that there is a trend where it curves around the later half of the year, later half of the year, later half of the year. With the exception of even during these last couple years, we've still seen it, but it's significantly muted compared to a normal pre-pandemic year. And right now, it seems like we're getting much more into a normal course of action of those sales slumping into the second half of the year. It is more dramatic, but it is a normal dip or a normal curve in the sales to level off towards the second half of the year. Now, when it comes to list to sales price ratios, we are seeing that number drop and drop pretty dramatically from going from back to where it was at 104% was the average list to sales price ratio across the state. Now it's coming back down to 101.3%, which is a fairly significant drop. But again, going back down to normal, back what it was before the pandemic and things got totally crazy, totally insane. So is it coming down? Absolutely. Coming back down to a more normal, healthy level. And talking about the share of homes that sold above their list price has been dropping and dropping pretty substantially. But again, if you look at the trends, it is not necessarily normal for homes, 70% of the homes to be selling above the list price, above the asking price. So we usually see it hover right around 40%, and then it drops down as the later part of the year happens. So we're still at 58.8%. Is it lower? Yeah, absolutely. But we're getting it back to a more normal pace. Good news is that mortgage payment growth has decelerated for the first time in 10 months, right? Let's at least try to live off of any piece of good news. It is a deceleration. If you notice, it is a small difference, but we will take any win we can get. Mortgage payments have been exploding as prices continue to increase, as well as mortgage rates has continued to increase. So we'll take any win we can get. But let's talk about a big difference that we're seeing right now, which is the inventory and active listings on the marketplace right now. As we can see, there is a slight uptick, but it is a small uptick, and we'll take any increase in inventory that we can get because buyers have actually been able to find more homes and to be able to have some sort of choice as opposed to taking whatever comes on the market. Has it been a learning lesson for sellers? Absolutely. But for buyers, it has been a big improvement. But for sellers, they've had to really start being more realistic with prices and pricing their property. So it is a change in the trajectory that we have been seeing really since the pandemic shut everything down. But it is a drastic change in the mind and the eyes of the sellers. So as we can see, it is still, if we go over the last 3 years, we see that the dramatic trend was a downward trend, but that has been changing ever since really January of this year. And we're seeing it to start to compare it to 2019 levels. So we're starting to see us comparing it back to pre-pandemic levels. That's a good thing. That's going back to a more normal market. And we keep hearing from all agents that we have had to do crazy things over the last 2 years that some agents that have been 30, 40 years in the business have never had to do to get offers accepted, removing contingencies, writing 60-day free rent backs, things that are not normal to have to do. So because of this increase in inventory and a decrease in sales, homes are sitting longer on the market. Buyers are able to be a little bit more choosy. Sellers have to come back down to the reality of actually pricing their home based upon data, comparable sales, and not just picking a number and it actually selling. So we are also noticing that the active listing increase is a dramatic increase over the last year, 64.4% increase year over year. So June 2022 versus June 2021, 64.4% increase in the active listing count. And for the third month in a row, we have had new listings, meaning the new homes coming to market has outpaced the number of sales for 3 months in a row. And we really haven't seen that since July of 2020, where after the shutdown, when things opened back up again, ever since July of 2020, homes have been selling in higher numbers than new homes have been hitting in the market. That's where we saw a consistent decline in the active inventory because more were selling every month compared to were new ones coming to market. And just also showing that Southern California is seeing this change much more than any other region in California. So if you're in the Southern California market, we are being affected faster and much more substantially. Talking about market competitiveness, lists versus sell, active versus solds, all of that. So the time on market has been inching up, but as you can see, it is still incredibly low at 11 days. Is it inching up? Yes. Is it going to continue to inch up? Absolutely. But we are seeing still incredibly low days on market compared to what a buyer's market is, going all the way up to 60, 70 plus days. And another big thing that we've been seeing, and now we're actually seeing it in the data, is the number of reduced prices. The price reductions is now in California as a whole as of June 2022. 35.5% of active inventory had price reductions with a median price reduction of 5.3%. As of right now in July, we're seeing that number higher, closer to 45 to 50%. But when this market study was done, as of the California as a whole, it was 35.5. So what does all of that mean? That means that we're having to come back to normalcy. We're seeing the rising interest rates moderate buyer demand. That's allowing more homes to sit on the market. That's allowing active inventory to grow, which is bringing days on market to increase. Homes are taking longer to sell as a whole, but what we are seeing is really a bifurcation in the market. There's either the homes that sell and there's the homes that sit. And the homes that are selling are, number one, priced right. Number two, positioned and merchandised properly by the agent, but also by the seller and what the upgrades have been. Condition is one of the most highly scrutinized prospects in the home selling process right now, because as home buyers have more to choose from, they're able to be choosier and pickier about the home that they choose. So if the home is not completely move-in ready, completely updated, you're having to absolutely make sure to price it accordingly. We can no longer take a comparable sale that was a little bit more upgraded and price it at that same price, because now home buyers are scrutinizing the comparable sales more than they have in the last 2.5 years. So if you're a home seller considering put your home on the market, number one, really take an honest look at your home and really deep down dive into what upgrades have actually been done, when they were done. Were they upgraded 10 years ago? You can't price it as the same as a home that was upgraded last week, because the home buyers in today's market are looking at 10, 15-year upgrades, looking at it as the same as an original condition, saying, I'm going to have to rip it out anyway, so we cannot price it at the same price as a fully remodeled home. So if you have any questions about the value of your home, the direction that the market is going, and what you can specifically do to take advantage of this market to win despite the headwinds of the market, feel free to reach out to me today. This is Jacob Lawler, First Team Real Estate. Have a great day.